When the Springfield Armory Echelon was first introduced, I read and watched every review that I could find at the time. More often than not, reviews favored the Echelon, with raves regarding dependable reliability, intuitive simplicity, meaning that it's easy to operate and maintain, ergonomics, a slim grip with aggressive functional texture, a crisp feeling 4 to 5 pound trigger with short take-up, defined wall, and a definite reset, 2 to 2.5 inch groups for 5-shot groups fired from a bench rest at 25 yards, using defense, duty, or match ammunition. Safety, where a redundant sear, not involved with the trigger function, aids in preventing unintended discharges. And adaptability, through modularity and acceptance of accessories and optics. At the time, I was not ready to receive in another polymer pistol from Springfield Armory, especially since I had my share of XD, XDS, XDE, and XDM pistols. Also, I wanted to give the Echelon time in the marketplace to see where this pistol was going to head in the long run. Too many times I have purchased a Springfield Armory product only to have it discontinued. Once bitten, 3 times shy, so to speak. Lately, I have been reviewing rental firearms that are available at my local gun shop and range that, I feel, show their true colors after being shot by strangers lacking the interest that I do regarding firearms. With a range rental Echelon in my hand, I felt it was time to give this pistol a look-see and determine, in my mind, if indeed the Echelon was worth the hype given it. So, let me get started with the features and move on from there. While manufactured by HS Product in Croatia, the Echelon is not an extension of the XD line of pistols. In fact, the Echelon may eventually phase out the XD line completely, or so I have heard. It does not accept XD magazines, fit in XD holsters, or share parts. The Echelon seems more refined than the XDM in its own sort of way. I suppose that if I were forced to provide a comparison between the Echelon and other pistols, those pistols would likely be the FN 509, CZP-10, or H&K VP9, all of which I have handled and shot. With that said, let me dive a bit deeper into the Echelon, starting with the slide. The slide is highly sculpted and contoured. The traditional method of racking the slide by gripping the front or rear is aided by aggressive angled serrations. They are deeply machined, front and rear, and offer a strong tactile purchase. Springfield Armory calls the front serrations the forward trench. The rear of the slide also has a rack assist protrusion, if you will, that aids in manipulating the slide. This feature should help those with weak or compromised hand strength. If an optic is not mounted, and the cover plate is, the rear serrations carry over to the top of the slide. The serrations also guide to relief cuts in front of the ejection port and at the rear of the slide. These offer positive index points to assist shooters with charging the slide or performing a press check of the chamber. The striker locking plate, unlike the XD and XDM, does not contain a provision for a cocked indicator and is simply a flat and stippled unit. Shell ejection is accomplished using an external extractor that is utterly reliable, as is the internal ejector, and when forced out of a large and flared ejection port, allows the shells to fly away to wherever shells fly away to. The external extractor, by the way, doubles as a chamber-loaded indicator. When a cartridge is chambered, the extractor-loaded chamber indicator will protrude from the right side of the pistol, and a red surface will indicate that a cartridge is chambered. lest we forget that the firearm should always be considered loaded and a round chambered. Unless the slide is locked back, the chamber is empty and no magazine is inserted. To the rear of that ejection port is one of the key features of the Echelon, the variable interface system. To let Springfield Armory tell it,
concealed beneath the slide cover plate is the Echelon's patent-pending optic mounting system. The variable interface system allows users to mount over 30 optics directly to the slide without the use of adapter plates. Simply configure the self-locking pins for the footprint of your desired optic to achieve a low, direct mount for improved sight picture and intuitive alignment.
I am showing the sighting options, as provided in the Springfield Armory Echelon Operation and Safety Manual, but I'm not going to expound on this feature for brevity's sake. Just let it be said that if you opt for optics, you will have plenty to select from and mount to the Echelon. Of the 21 parts that comprise the slide assembly, the front and rear sight is 2 of them, a tritium luminescent front and a tactical rack U-dot rear. I have come to like the rear U-dot sight and would not mind one on some of my other pistols. According to Springfield Armory, the user may use a point of aim sight picture at 25 yards, which means that, at 25 yards, the bullet should impact the target at the point visible at the top of the front sight. I'll determine that during the range session. For now, let me get to the frame, and quite a frame it is. The frame, or lower as some call it, is highly textured with many curves and valleys to provide the best of ergonomics. Beginning at the front, some reviewers found fault with the accessory rail, stating that it can flex when attempting to mount slide-type accessories. For my own edification, I mounted a GM Con green laser unit. The unit did just not slide on. Mounting halves needed to be separated to clear the rail, but seemed to be solidly mounted when attached. I also somewhat pre-zeroed the unit prior to the actual range session, and you will see the result of that effort when I get to that point. The texture of the grip area is what Springfield Armory calls the adaptive grip texture, and which feels mild at first, at least until you apply full grip pressure. At this point, the texture seems to become more aggressive, and the hand just seems to melt into it. You may already have noted that the Echelon, unlike the XDM series, does not have a grip safety. That's welcomed by many, and I am not going to share my thoughts about striker-fired polymer pistols without external safeties at this point. Maybe later, if at all. As far as controls, the Echelon is equipped with an ambidextrous slide stop and magazine release. To me, the slide stop lever felt a bit small, but it worked fine using the thumb or forefinger of the shooting hand, or either hand. The magazine catch and release button is prominent on both sides, and I was initially concerned with prematurely releasing the magazine during live fire. That did not happen. The magazine catch and release button is textured to provide a non-slip surface. Note the various textured indexing points to the front of the trigger guard. Available for both lefties and righties, these points provide a non-slip surface to rest a sport hand thumb, if needed. Before I get to the heart of the Echelon, the grip needs to be addressed. The Echelon ships with 3 back straps, each with an integrated armorer's tool. The back straps are universal and can be installed in the small, medium, and large frame grips. And speaking of grip frames, there are 3 grip sizes, small, medium, and large, with each grip module accepting the central operating group and all 3 back straps. The top of the rear grip frame is well undercut to allow the hand as high of a grip as possible without interference from the slide during normal firing operations. And while talking about normal operations, and although I only had one magazine to work with this Echelon, the Echelon does ship with 2 magazines. For free states, this includes a magazine with a capacity of 17 plus 1 in a flush fit configuration, and 20 plus 1 with the expanded base pad. For not so free states, a low capacity 10 round model is also available. According to Springfield Armory, all magazines are blacked out in an all-new scratch and wear resistant coating. Magazines can also be disassembled for maintenance. Traveling forward of the grip a bit, we come across an oversized, undercut, and contoured trigger guard that houses a critical part, the trigger, which is part of a larger and most important part, Central Operating Group. The Central Operating Group is entirely self-contained and serialized, allowing it to be easily moved between grip modules in seconds. Again, and according to Springfield Armory, the COG is a precision-built unit from stainless steel, the chassis of which provides a robust housing for its patent-pending operating system. Springfield Armory has an excellent and brief video, which I obviously cannot show here because of copyright, at their website that showcases the COG. While highly promoted, at least by Springfield Armory, the bottom line comes down to how it performs. Well, if the trigger characteristics show us anything, performance should be excellent. The trigger itself, a flat-faced unit, incorporates the now accepted trigger shoe safety that prevents the trigger from being pulled unless the trigger safety is fully pressed inward. Having remembered to bring my trigger pull gauge this time, the trigger pull weight came in at 4 pounds 15 ounces with a 5-pull average. The trigger of the Echelon, unlike a Glock trigger, does not stage the striker, as its function is to release the striker after all safety measures have been taken. The trigger travel is short, sweet, and positive, just a hint of mushiness common to all polymer pistols, but not as bad as some. I do rate it better than the trigger of the XDM pistols, but you know that I cannot rate it as high as a good 1911 trigger. The trigger, however, does offer a clean take-up, a crisp wall, and a short reset. I'll see how it performs shortly during the range session. As an entire assembly, the Echelon feels good and balanced in the hand. It has that tactical look that should appeal to both tactical and non-tactical types who are looking for an excellent platform upon which to mount tactical stuff like optics, flashlights, lasers, and combinations thereof. Well, that completes the features. Now, let me put some rounds through this Echelon range rental. See how well we work together, if at all. I am starting out with a trigger press check to feel out the trigger. I'm trying to hold on the lower 8 and it looks like I am slightly low and left. Now I am holding at the top of the red bullseye. The sights are actually pretty good. When the bolt strike is left of where I am aiming, that is probably me. I am trying to find the correct finger placement on the trigger. The trigger is slightly heavy, but it has a good crisp break. Trying out the laser here and not having a good time with it. Isn't it funny how steady a laser looks in the movies? I wish I was as rock steady. I definitely threw that one. Turning the laser off and get back to my sights. Felt recoil is very mild, as would be expected with a polymer 9. I don't know what grip adapter is on this Range Ronin. The grip feels pretty good in the hand. Not my usual grouping for headshots. I am still pulling left a bit. Last two shots of the session coming up. Will the Echelon replace the XD series or supplement it? Time will tell on that. I have been very happy with my several XD series pistols, XD, XDS, XDE, and XDM in various calibers. It would seem that the Echelon may have a chance at top spot in the Springfield Armory polymer line of pistols. I enjoyed my short time with this Range Ronin Springfield Armory Echelon and would look forward to shooting it again at some time. If I did not have my SA XD pistols, the SA Echelon would be a good place to start, in lieu of the XD line, with the only challenge of choosing one of the currently available 8 variations. If you have a range that rents the Echelon, you owe it to yourself to at least try it out and determine if the Echelon is right for you. Well, my friends, that's it for this chapter of the Range Ronin Chronicles. I hope that you will join me later on in this journey of mine, as long or short as it may be. Until you tune in again to the channel, and I sincerely hope that you will, stay vigilant, stay armed, and stay safe out there.